morning. Another beautiful day in the bush. So I was just sitting down to a spot of breakfast when this friendly little critter came up to me. He actually got so close he licked my shoe, but by the time I grabbed the camera, this was all the footage I managed to get. He was quite a cocky, confident lace monitor. Generally they're a little bit skittish and scared of humans, but this one seemed to be probably like an adolescent male trying to assert his territory or his dominance, as you'll see in a few minutes. Has a good old sniff of all my possessions. So he just did a little perimeter check, did a little lap around the campsite, making sure everything was in order. I've dealt with many of these lace monitors over the years, and as you've seen in the previous videos probably, I'm capable of catching the decent sized ones. I'll let the big ones go because I know how dangerous they can be and just how powerful they are with their claws and their teeth. But the medium sized ones, if you get a good chance to grab one, I can. I could have quite easily reached over and grabbed him while he was walking around my chair. This is actually the first time I've ever been charged by a lace monitor of this size, and you can see he was quite frisky. He'd had a fair bit of sun, I think, and was maybe a little bit cranky for a little while. So he started to give a bit of a run at me. Each time I backed away, he came forward and forward again, and in the end I just ended up holding my foot up to his nose, and he sniffed and tasted my shoe and realised I wasn't a threat, so he moved on. But he was a little bit cranky there for a while. Glad I didn't have my pluggers on. He went off and did his own things for a few minutes and then came back into camp again, looking for some more food scraps. This time he seemed a little bit more relaxed, and in the next footage you'll see just how relaxed he was. And in the end he decided to lay down on this dead log. He actually sat there for probably about a good 10 minutes. I had to cut quite a fair bit out of this video. But he was just resting on that log in the shade of the tree, having a little bit of a relax. He sensed that I was no threat. I was just there to take some footage of him and let him be on his way. It looked like quite a comfy position that he was relaxing in. He had his stomach and his belly up against the log and his head draped over the top. He was very, very relaxed here in the shade of the tree. The wind was blowing around, kept him quite cool. And he had his claws stuck into the log, and you might see his grip slip and his head sort of fell off the log for a second. And then he clawed his way back up a little bit. And then he decided to give me a last little bit of a show. Gave me a nice yawn. Look at that. That gives you some idea of how big his jaws are. Couldn't get to see his teeth, but they're in there. They're razor sharp. Alright, and then next up on my walk to Cronin Falls, I found a few more Yowie tree breaks. These ones I saw off in the distance off the walking track, so I had to climb up a little bit of a ridge to get to them. As you'll see, I was only a couple of metres into the bush and maybe 2 metres up. So I just hoofed it up the side there, up to these breaks. So these are palm trees which aren't as solid as a proper eucalypt, but still they've got some strength to them. And if you look at these breaks, I mean that's really quite high there. I'm standing on a big dead log, and I figure this would probably be at least 10 feet off the ground, that break. And you can see the other palm tree broken in the same fashion, facing in the same direction. There's actually another 2 there. So there's just shows how strong these creatures are. So they're obviously some sort of a marker saying that this is their territory or stay out of their territory. And then there's another one off in the background there, but I wasn't going to go walking off into the bush too far. I only had my little action cam in my hand, so it's a little bit shaky. Apologies for that. Next up, we've just got a tree break off in the distance. You can see that one's bent right over, so it's touching the ground. This group of tree breaks was actually very interesting. There was quite a few facing in one direction, and then there was one where the top was going through a fork in another tree. I couldn't get too close to this one because there was too much foliage on the ground, but hopefully you can pick it up. You can see the stump there just sitting on the ground, just sitting like it's been put there. And then try to explain this one for me. 2 big trees bending outwards, and then one massive trunk going right through the middle. And now we come into Cronin Falls. Quite a nice little spot here. There was still some water falling over the falls into a little bit of a pond. And I reckon this spot would be somewhere definitely where yowies would frequent during the warmer months and warmer season. They'd come down here for a bath. It's got quite a bit of depth to it. And I'm actually contemplating buying a trail cam and setting up in some of the trees facing onto this little lagoon or pond and seeing if I can pick up anything on that one. I'd have to make sure it's very stealthily hid, because this is also a tourist attraction, so there's a lot of people that would come here and have a look at these falls, and I'd want to make sure my trail cam was well enough hidden or in a spot where they couldn't access it. But I think that's on the to-do list. Couldn't see any wildlife in the water. It was only a smallish pond. A nice little location though. It's good. So I just thought I'd leave a little calling card in case any yowies do come down and they see the little rock stack. Might provide a little bit of entertainment for them. And then I found a little baby eastern water dragon. He was very timid and wouldn't let me get too close. And now we've got some more tree breaks. So these ones are off the trail again. Had to go for a little bit of a walk. As you can see, the forest is quite dense. There's a lot of debris on the floor. I have to go up a little bit of an embankment to get there. But again, what we've got here is a palm tree branch broken off, probably a good couple of feet off the ground. Looks like it might have been done a while ago because there's a bit of growth, green growth next to it. So I had to move away some stuff, but you can clearly see here this one's snapped over. There you go, there's a pretty clean break. There was no other big logs around it, you know, showing that it was knocked over, but that's a pretty clean snap if you look at that one. A few feet off the ground, obviously pointing in a direction of some significance. That's a pretty solid branch. And then the next one, again, was off the side of the walking trail. Only probably 10 metres, 15 metres if that. But you can see there it's clearly snapped off, probably a good 5 feet. And then over in the background, hopefully you'll be able to see that one. There's a big break over there. That's a very, very big branch. I don't know the significance of that break, but that'd take a lot of power as well. Very interesting. And then right down near my feet, you can see another break. I'll just move some of this foliage. And then up here on the side of the walking trail itself, got a clean snap of a branch there. I don't know how to explain that one. As you can see, that's a pretty clean break. A lot of sudden power needed to break that one. And then off in the distance I could see one down in a bit of a ravine, but it was too hard to get to that one. It was quite a big ledge off to the side there to get to that. And then on the walking track on the way back to my campsite, I managed to find this tiny little lagoon. It didn't look much from the side of the track, but when I walked up to it, there was a little bit of depth there. Probably only about 2.5, maybe 3 feet, if that. Enough to have a little bit of a wade. And the other reason, in a second I'll show you, was because up on the embankment was another couple of tree breaks. If you look up there, you can see a couple of tree breaks. They've been snapped off. One's facing down the creek, and then there's another one facing up the creek, up onto the ridge line. There was actually 3 breaks there, but I don't know if the camera picks that one up. So there's definitely a marker there of some sort, some sort of a territorial boundary. And it was such a stinking hot day, I thought, why not? Let's get slossing Sasquatch in the water. Lucky I had my togs on, so I just jumped in and had a little bit of a paddle around for a couple of minutes. Alrighty, the water's on the boil. Dinner will be ready soon. I'll have it just before dusk, before it gets too dark. I'm having the leftovers of the Thai green chicken curry from the last trip, and then of course the apple pie. So that apple pie is quite tasty. Looking forward to that one. And my little friend over there says he's going to skip dinner and he's going straight for the marshmallows. He's just waiting for the sun to set and for me to stoke up the fire so he can toast his marshmallows on the fire. He's getting very excited, he said. So stay tuned for when the sun's gone down. That's the way you do toasted marshmallows. There you go over there, little fella. You might need to get a little bit closer to the fire. Alright, it's 10:20 AM. Campsite's packed up, leave no trace, as per the norm. Everything's packed up and ready to rock and roll. All set for the, I think it's about 3 kilometre hike out of here. There's just one problem. My little mate, he's causing a bit of a mutiny. He says he doesn't want to leave. He wants one more night in the forest. He doesn't care about the yowies. He just wants one more night by the campfire roasting marshmallows. And he said he's not going to leave until his demands are met. And he's hiding out. Look at him. What am I going to do? I can't get him down from up there. I'm just going to have to negotiate with him. Try and plead with him that we'll do it again soon. Come on, mate. We got to go. Alrighty, I don't know how close I'm going to be able to get to it, but it looks like there's a juvenile kangaroo in the dead centre of the track up there. And it looks like there might be a bit of smouldering tree log up there from some of the burn off. If I walk quietly, hopefully you can be able to see him. I'll walk on the left so he jumps to the right because there's a fence line on the left and I don't want him to get caught up in the fence. Do you want some water, mate? Don't know if you can see him. He's in the shade. That's a wallaby. Oh no, it's a kangaroo. Oh, watch out for the fence. He's alright, he's through. See you, mate. See you, buddy. Pity I couldn't get closer. Wow. And just one final clip before I walk out of the park. Beautiful looking mountain there. It's obviously the northern part of Mount Barney.